Her name is Hadiza. She's 44 years old and she sells groundnut oil and dried spices from a stall in the Kasuwa Kormi market in Kano City. She has been at this stall for 19 years. Her customers come from across the market: Hausa traders, Kanuri merchants, the occasional Igbo buyer who runs a restaurant business nearby. She knows them all. She greets them in Hausa, in a little Yoruba, in the hand gestures of commerce that cross every language in northern Nigeria. Hadiza does not follow politics the way the television presenters follow it. She follows it the way a person follows the weather, because it affects what she is able to do. When the naira fell, her supplier raised prices for imported packaging. When insecurity increased in the northwest, some of her suppliers stopped coming because their routes were no longer safe. Politics for Hadiza is not a spectacle, it is a consequence. In 2023, she voted for Atiku Abubakar on the PDP. Her family has voted for Atiku since 2007. Her father voted for him, her older brother voted for him. In Kano, that loyalty is not unusual, but something has changed since 2023 that Hadiza notices in the market conversations. The certitude has gone. The people who once said Sai Atiku with full confidence are now asking questions. Is he still running on a party that exists? Is Kwankwaso really going with the Igbo man? And the question that has been in the market conversation since the news came through last year: what happens to the north now that Buhari is gone? What is happening in Hadiza's market is really about the most consequential political question in northern Nigeria before 2027. Who actually controls the northern vote? And is any candidate, Tinubu, Atiku, or the Obi Kwankwaso configuration, building the specific kind of northern political trust that actually moves millions of ballots on election day? Before we go deeper, I just want to say thank you. Since NaijaNewsWatch started, the support, the comments, the likes, and every single subscription have helped this channel grow beyond what I imagined. If you have been enjoying these in-depth political breakdowns and you want to see more videos like this, the best way to support the channel is by subscribing. It really motivates me to keep researching, digging deeper, and bringing you clear, fact-based analysis. Now let us get into the story, because what happens next changes everything. Let us catch you up on the specific events that have reshaped the northern political landscape since 2023, because the north that goes into 2027 is fundamentally different from the north that produced the 2023 result, in two specific ways that most national analysis has not fully processed. The first change is the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari. According to media reports, Buhari died in London on July 13, 2025, and was buried in Daura, Katsina State on July 15 in a state ceremony attended by President Tinubu, foreign heads of state, traditional rulers, and thousands of ordinary Nigerians. According to multiple analysts quoted in the weeks after his death, Buhari was, for much of northern Nigeria, more than a politician. He was a cult figure. His identity as a frugal, austere, devout leader spoke directly to the conscience of the northern masses. According to political observers, his death left a political vacuum in the north that no current candidate, Tinubu, Atiku, or Kwankwaso, has yet filled with equivalent credibility or emotional resonance. The second change is the fragmentation of the northern opposition. In 2023, the North's anti-Tinubu vote was split between Atiku on PDP and Kwankwaso on NNPP. According to verified election results, Atiku won 6.98 million votes nationally, while Kwankwaso won 1.5 million, with Kwankwaso's 58.4% in Kano being his highest single-state performance, and his performance being dramatically lower everywhere outside Kano. In 2026, the fragmentation has changed in configuration but not in depth. Atiku is now on the ADC, Kwankwaso is now on the NDC with Obi as the presidential candidate. According to stakeholders quoted by Daily Post Nigeria, the risk is that northern voters are divided between these two formations, with some Kwankwaso supporters reportedly discouraged by his vice presidential positioning, and some Atiku supporters questioning whether Atiku is running for himself rather than for a broader opposition strategy. According to the Arewa Consultative Forum, the northern establishment body, statements made as recently as June 2026 indicated that Tinubu, Atiku, and Obi have all lost significant goodwill among northern voters. The ACF's position is not an endorsement of any candidate. It is a signal that the northern political establishment is in flux and that the 2027 northern vote is more genuinely contested than at any point since 2011. Now let us look at the structural rules that shape how northern votes are decided, because the north is not a monolith, and understanding its political architecture is essential for understanding who controls what. Northern Nigeria comprises 19 states across 3 geopolitical zones: Northwest, Northeast, and North Central. These zones are demographically, ethnically, economically, and politically diverse. The Northwest, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Jigawa, is predominantly Hausa Fulani, predominantly Muslim, and has been the core of the Buhari political bloc that dominated northern presidential politics from 2011 to 2023. The Northeast, Borno, Yobe, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba, Adamawa, is ethnically diverse, significantly affected by the Boko Haram ISWAP insecurity, and has historically produced significant PDP political machines. The North Central, Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa, Niger, Kogi, Kwara, and FTC is the most religiously and ethnically diverse zone, with significant Christian populations and documented farmer-herder conflict that has produced specific political grievances. According to political scientists who study northern Nigeria, the region's presidential vote is shaped by three structural forces that operate simultaneously. The first is governorial party alignment, the extent to which sitting governors' political machines mobilize their state's voters for a presidential candidate. The second is community and traditional ruler influence, the extent to which emirate councils, traditional rulers, and community associations communicate political guidance to their members. The third is grassroots political identity, the extent to which specific candidates trigger a personal, emotional political identification among voters that overrides both governorial direction and traditional ruler guidance. According to a political analyst quoted in reporting on the 2027 race, politics in northern Nigeria is deeply shaped by identity, history, and voter mobilization. People wait every 4 years to line up and vote because that is where they feel they have influence. According to her analysis, a presidential ticket's composition, who is on it, and what it represents symbolically for northern political identity matters as much as the formal party machinery. The constitutional spread requirement creates a specific structural challenge for every candidate seeking northern votes. According to the 1999 Constitution, a presidential winner must secure 25% of valid votes in at least 24 states. The North's 19 states are not all equivalent in their electoral significance. Winning 25% in Zamfara requires different resources and different strategies than winning 25% in Plateau or Benue. Now, let us go deep, because the battle for northern Nigeria's vote in 2027 is being fought on multiple fronts simultaneously, and the outcome of that battle is less certain than any of the candidates would publicly acknowledge. Let us start with the most consequential political development in northern Nigeria since 2023, the one that is most underanalyzed in national political coverage. According to analysts quoted across multiple publications in July 2025, the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari has left a vacuum in the political soul of northern Nigeria that is proving extremely difficult to fill. According to an analyst quoted in the journal, for much of northern Nigeria, Buhari was more than a politician, he was a cult figure. His identity as a frugal, austere, devout leader spoke directly to the conscience of the northern masses. According to political observers, his death left a political vacuum in the north that no current candidate, Tinubu, Atiku, or Kwankwaso, has yet filled with equivalent credibility or emotional resonance. According to reporting on the aftermath of Buhari's burial, political figures across the spectrum, from Tinubu's APC to the ADC coalition, began immediately positioning to claim his political inheritance. According to one news source, barely a day after Buhari's death was announced, former Kaduna Governor El-Rufai arrived in Katsina, widely read as positioning himself as a foremost Buhari ally and inheritor of his political dynasty. Atiku's presence at the burial, accompanied by chants of Sai Atiku from his supporters, was widely described by observers as a political statement rather than purely a mourning gesture. According to political analysts, the question of who inherits Buhari's northern bloc, his loyal CPC origin supporters in the northwest, his Fulani constituency in Katsina and Kebbi, his credibility with the Islamic establishment, is the most valuable unresolved political question in the entire 2027 cycle. Here is the pattern interrupt that reframes everything. According to multiple political analysts, Buhari's political appeal was built on something that no current major candidate, Tinubu, Atiku, or Obi, specifically embodies: personal austerity, perceived incorruptibility, and a simple lifestyle that ordinary northern voters recognized as representative of their own condition. According to the former ACF Secretary General Anthony Sani, as quoted in Voice of Liberty NG, northern leaders must learn that honesty, integrity, simplicity, and a genuine vision for the people are what matter, as Buhari did. That assessment from a senior northern establishment figure tells you what the standard is, and it implicitly tells you that none of the current candidates has been specifically measured against and found to meet that standard in the northern political community's collective judgment. Now, let us look at the specific contests for northern political authority, candidate by candidate, zone by zone. Tinubu's northern calculation. According to APC officials and political analysts, Tinubu's northern strategy rests on governor-level alignment and FAAC resource leverage. The APC controls all 7 northwest governorships, all 6 northeast governorships, and most north-central governorships. According to political analysts, this gives him the state party machinery and the patronage networks in most northern states. According to one APC spokesperson, Tinubu has been building bridges across the country for 39 years, and as president, he is consolidating all those relationships. According to APC analysts, the party's internal organization, whatever its post-Buhari challenges, remains significantly more developed than any opposition alternative across most northern states. Atiku's northern calculation. According to political observers, Atiku continues to command significant influence within Nigeria's northern political networks, especially among the business and professional elite, among former PDP structures, and among communities in Adamawa and the broader northeast where his family and political base are rooted. However, according to ADC stakeholders quoted in Daily Post Nigeria, some northern voters now see Atiku's political ambition more personal than a broader opposition strategy.
Particularly after reports that he declined to join the NDC when Obi and Kwankwaso invited him, which some northern observers interpret as putting his own position above collective opposition unity. Kwankwaso's northern calculation. According to political analysts, Kwankwaso's influence lies not only in votes but in grassroots mobilization structures capable of driving turnout and local political coordination. That explains, according to one analysis, why multiple opposition camps continue to view him as indispensable in any serious anti-APC alliance. But according to reporting on the 2027 Kano political dynamics, 2 tensions have emerged. First, the internal NDC dispute over the 60-40 power-sharing arrangement, which reportedly threatened Kwankwaso's continued participation in the NDC. Second, the question of whether Kwankwaso as vice presidential candidate carries the same mobilizing power as Kwankwaso as presidential candidate, with some of his own supporters reportedly discouraged by his secondary position. According to an ADC chieftain quoted by Daily Post, Kwankwaso as running mate has discouraged many of his supporters. The silent player who cuts across all 3 of these calculations is the Kano Emirate question, specifically the political positioning of the Emirate institution after the conflict between the Buhari government's reappointment of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi and the subsequent political battles over Emirate authority. According to political analysts who follow Kano politics, the Kwankwasia movement and the current Kano APC government under Governor Kabir Abba Yusuf both have roots in earlier Kwankwasia-era politics, producing a complex internal Kano dynamic where the Emirate Council, the governor, the Kwankwasia movement and the NDC's vice presidential candidate are all in different configurations of alignment and tension simultaneously. According to Guardian Nigeria reporting on Kano 2027, 2 recent political developments in the ancient commercial state of Kano underscore the extent to which Kwankwaso and the Kwankwasia are influencing the build-up to next year's general election, through the NDC's position-sharing formula and through the nomination of his son as deputy governorship candidate. These intra-Kano dynamics matter because Kano, with its massive voter registration, is the single most consequential northern state in any 2027 presidential calculation. Now, before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Based on everything we have uncovered so far, what is your own reading of the situation? Do you think the evidence points in one direction, or is there another angle we are missing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them carefully, and some of the best discussions happen there. Now, let us continue, because the next part of this story changes how everything we have discussed fits together. Let us come back to Hadisa in her market stall in Kano. She does not follow politics as spectacle, she follows it as consequence. The consequence she is living with is the same one that has been documented across multiple surveys of northern Nigerian economic conditions. The cost of goods has increased significantly since 2023, her suppliers in the northwest face security challenges on some routes, and the purchasing power of her customers, civil servants, traders, market workers, has declined relative to the prices she needs to charge to cover her own costs. For Hadisa, the question of who wins the battle for northern Nigeria's vote in 2027 is the question of whose governance approach most credibly addresses the specific conditions of her daily life: the food price, the supply chain security, the purchasing power of the people who come to her store. According to political analysts, the North has historically used presidential elections to assert political identity and negotiate political power rather than primarily to vote on economic policy. The Buhari phenomenon was the clearest example. Millions of northern voters backed him across multiple elections, not because of detailed policy analysis, but because of the personal integrity and identity he represented. In 2027, for the first time since 2011, that specific Buhari-type identity anchor is absent, and according to analysts, that absence creates a space, not necessarily an opportunity, but a space in which economic conditions might play a more direct role in shaping northern presidential voting behavior than they have in recent cycles. Whether any candidate manages to occupy that space, combining credible northern identity with a convincing economic governance argument is the most specific unsettled question in the 2027 northern political analysis. The international dimension of the Northern Nigeria 2027 battle is real and connected to global security concerns. The northwest and northeast of Nigeria, the regions most affected by banditry, ISWAP, and the remnants of Boko Haram, are among the most watched security environments in West Africa by international partners. The United States, the European Union, the UK, and multilateral organizations, including the United Nations, have ongoing development, security, and humanitarian programs in the northeast specifically. The political stability of northern Nigerian governorships and the security orientation of whoever controls federal government after 2027 directly affects the operating environment of these international programs. According to reporting on the 2025 Sokoto U.S. strikes, U.S. military operations against Boko Haram-affiliated targets were conducted in Sokoto State. That level of U.S. security engagement in northern Nigeria means that the 2027 political outcome, who governs federally and with what security philosophy, is a matter of direct operational significance to U.S. security partners in the region. For Nigerians in the diaspora from northern Nigeria, in the UK, the US, and across Europe, the 2027 battle for the North has a specific personal dimension. Many diaspora northerners are from the northwest states most affected by insecurity and by the economic dislocations of the post-2023 reform period. Their families are the Hadijas of the Kano market. The governance of northern Nigeria, the security environment, the food price, the purchasing power of the people who come to her stall affect people they love and send remittances to. Their political engagement, their social media amplification, and their advocacy all flow from that personal stake. Let me present both sides of the battle for northern Nigeria honestly, because there are legitimate arguments and significant evidence on more than one side. The strongest argument for why the APC will successfully retain the North for Tinubu in 2027 comes from the structural politics analysts. According to these analysts, the APC controls all 7 Northwest governorships and all 6 Northeast governorships. The state party machinery, the LGA chairmen, the community patronage networks, and the public resource deployment in those 19 states all work for the APC presidential candidate by default. According to one APC spokesperson, Tinubu has been building bridges across the country for 39 years, and as president, he is consolidating all those relationships. According to APC analysts, the party's internal organization, whatever its post-Buhari challenges, remains significantly more developed than any opposition alternative across most northern states. The strongest argument for why the APC may struggle to retain the North is the one rooted in the economic and security conditions that northern voters are actually living with. According to one political movement quoted in reporting, the northern bloc that supported Tinubu in 2023 has fractured due to what it described as economic and security failures. According to reporting, the Arewa Consultative Forum has expressed dissatisfaction with the Tinubu administration's economic management and has warned northern political leaders for assuming the North's 2027 vote is predetermined. According to political analysts, without Buhari's unifying presence, internal cracks in the APC's northern base may widen. The post-Buhari void is real and is not easily filled by governor-level patronage alone, because Buhari's appeal was not primarily patronage-based, it was identity-based, and identity cannot be delivered by an LGA chairman's budget.
The claim that cannot be confirmed and which NaijaNewsWatch will not present as fact is the allegation by some opposition voices that the APC's northern support has completely collapsed and that the North will unanimously vote against Tinubu in 2027. According to an ADC stakeholder quoted by Daily Post, the North is unanimously united against the APC. This is an opposition political claim, not a verified research finding. The evidence does not support the word unanimously. The APC controls every Northwest and Northeast governorship, which means its community-level political machinery is intact. What the evidence does support is that the northern presidential vote is more genuinely competitive in 2027 than in 2023. Here is what to watch. 3 signals that will tell you which direction the northern vote is heading. First signal, whether Atiku's ADC platform survives October 27. According to our previous coverage, the ADC's full appeal is scheduled for October 27, 2026. If the ADC is restored cleanly, Atiku maintains a separate northern opposition platform, and the northwest anti-APC vote is split between Atiku's ADC network and Kwankwaso's NDC positioning. If the ADC is deregistered and Atiku migrates to the NDC, the northern opposition infrastructure consolidates, and the competition between Atiku's network and Kwankwaso's network for internal northern NDC leadership becomes the most consequential internal political battle in the 2027 cycle. Second signal, what the Kano gubernatorial race produces. According to the Guardian Nigeria analysis of Kano 2027, Kano is the most consequential northern state in any presidential calculation. Watch the Kano governorship dynamics specifically, whether Governor Kabir Abba Yusuf maintains his Kwankwasia origins while serving the APC formally, whether Kwankwaso's NDC structures challenge the APC's Kano organization effectively, and whether the intra-Kwankwasia dynamics around candidate selection produce internal tension or cohesion. The Kano gubernatorial race in 2027 will be one of the most closely watched state races in the country because its outcome tells you who actually controls Kano's political community. Third signal, whether any northern traditional ruler council, particularly the Sokoto Sultanate, the Kano Emirate, or the Borno Emirate, makes any public statement about the 2027 presidential race. According to political analysts, northern traditional rulers do not typically issue formal presidential endorsements, but their public communications on economic conditions, on security, on governance quality shape the information environment in communities that look to them for political guidance. A sultanate statement about economic hardship or an emirate statement about security failures carries political weight in the northwest that no candidate's campaign speech can match. Watch whether any major northern traditional institution issues any publicly notable statement in the second half of 2026 that implicitly evaluates the current government's performance. Best case scenario for APC, the ADC deregistration produces ongoing opposition fragmentation. Atiku and Kwankwaso's networks continue to split the northern anti-APC vote. Buhari's CPC bloc is absorbed quietly through appointments and patronage, with several Buhari-era northern figures publicly endorsing Tinubu. FAAC allocations remain high enough to sustain the governor-level patronage networks through 2027. Tinubu wins the northwest with margins sufficient to overcome any southeast or middle belt shortfalls. Best case scenario for the opposition, the ADC and NDC find formal coordination. Kwankwaso's VP positioning, despite initial supporter resistance, produces enough Kano voter consolidation around the Obi Kwankwaso NDC ticket that Kano delivers significantly for the opposition. Atiku's northern network, whether on NDC or through coordination, adds northeast and northwest voters who find the economic case for change persuasive. The post-Buhari vacuum, rather than being filled by Tinubu, produces a space for a candidate whose governance argument resonates with the quality that Buhari represented to his supporters. The long-term political impact of the northern vote in 2027 goes beyond which candidate wins the presidency. It is about what kind of political authority the North asserts in its next presidential cycle, whether it reasserts its historical position as the most organizationally powerful regional political bloc, or whether the post-Buhari vacuum and the economic conditions of 2023 to 2027 produce a more fragmented, more economically driven northern vote that changes the fundamental assumptions of Nigerian presidential coalition building for years to come. Let us come back to Hadija in her stall in the Kasual Kurmi market in Kano. She was asking a question that has been in the market conversations across northern Nigeria since July 2025. What happens to the north now that Buhari is gone? Here is the honest, evidence-based answer. According to political analysts who study northern Nigeria, the North is entering the 2027 election cycle without the kind of commanding political figure, the Buhari type identity anchor that produced its most cohesive presidential voting patterns in recent history. The APC has the structural machinery, but according to analysts, Buhari's appeal was not primarily structural. It was personal, moral, and identity-based. Those qualities cannot be inherited by a party. They are generated by an individual, and no current candidate, Tinubu, Atiku, or the Kwankwaso configuration, has yet demonstrated the specific combination of perceived integrity, austerity, and northern cultural credibility that made Buhari irreplaceable. According to the ACF's most recent public positioning, northern political leadership must prioritize honesty, integrity, and a genuine vision for the people. That is the standard the northern political community is applying to the 2027 candidates, and the question of which candidate comes closest to meeting it in the daily experience of people like Hadija, who check the price of goods and assess what the government's policies have done to their purchasing power, is the question that will determine millions of northern votes. My measured conclusion: the battle for northern Nigeria's vote in 2027 is genuinely open. The APC has structural advantages. The opposition has arithmetic advantages if it unites. The post-Buhari vacuum is real and is not yet filled. And the economic conditions that northern voters are living through, in markets like Hadija's, in farmlands affected by insecurity, in households squeezed by naira devaluation and food price increases, are the conditions that shape the final voting decision in ways that no governor's patronage network and no candidate's political speech can fully control. The question I want to leave you with is this: based on the evidence we have walked through, the Buhari vacuum, the Atiku and Kwankwaso fragmentation, the APC's structural machinery, and the economic conditions in northern communities, who do you think currently has the strongest claim on the northern vote in 2027? And has the post-Buhari political space created an opening that none of the current candidates has yet fully seized? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, I just want to sincerely thank you for spending your time with NaijaNewsWatch today. Your support means more than you probably realize. Every view, every thoughtful comment, every like, every share, and every subscription helps this channel continue to grow and gives me the motivation to keep researching and creating balanced, in-depth documentaries about Nigerian politics. If today's video gave you a clearer understanding of what is happening beyond the headlines, please share it with someone who would appreciate it too. Thank you for being part of this community. I will see you in the next documentary. Until then, stay informed, keep asking questions, and as always, stay sharp.